Right then. Easter Sunday, Hampden Park. The sun shining down and Celtic delivering a performance that wasn't just about getting to another final. It was about reminding the entire country exactly who we are. 5 goals, no reply, a dominant, commanding, downright ruthless statement from Brendan Rodgers' side. We're 1 game away from a treble. And that's the real headline. That's the real story. That's what Sunday was all about. Because if we're being honest, this wasn't just any semifinal. This was about setting the record straight after what happened up at McDiarmid Park just a couple weeks ago. That result, that performance, it wasn't forgotten. Not by the fans, not by the players, and certainly not by the manager. Celtic had a point to prove. And prove it they did. There was always a feeling going into this match that it was never really going to be in doubt. No disrespect to St. Johnstone. They earned their place at Hampton, and they've caused problems before. But this felt different. This felt like one of those games where Celtic were never going to take their foot off the gas. Too much at stake. Too much pride on the line. Too much fire left in the belly after that frustrating afternoon in Perth. And look, the first 35 minutes weren't exactly vintage stuff. It wasn't poor by any means, but you could feel the tension. The team was probing, pushing, trying to break down a very compact, very well-drilled St. Johnstone setup. They were organized, sat deep, and looking to frustrate just like they did at McDiarmid Park. And for a while it worked. The final pass wasn't quite there, the timing just a touch off. But there was no panic, there was no drop in tempo. It was relentless pressure, and you just knew the moment that first one went in the floodgates would open. And that's exactly what happened. It took 35 minutes, but when McGregor's goal hit the back of the net, Hampton erupted. And from that point on, there was no stopping us. St. Johnstone had no choice. They had to come out. They had to try and chase the game. But in doing that, they left gaps. Gaps that Celtic exploited with ruthless precision. It was clinical. It was devastating. It was 5-star football from a team that looks like it's peaking at just the right time. Honestly, you couldn't fault a single performance on that pitch. Every player to a man delivered. Callum McGregor set the tone in the middle of the park, dictating the tempo, leading by example. His finish for the opener was pure class, but his overall performance was just as impressive. He controlled that midfield like it was second nature. Daisen Maeda, what can you even say about him? At this point, 2 goals, electric movement, tireless energy. He's got that rare ability to make defenders panic even when he's not touching the ball. He's always in the right place at the right time, and when you've got someone that sharp lead in the line, you're always going to cause problems. And then there's Adam Ida, a goal on Easter Sunday. Almost poetic, isn't it? He's been knocking on the door for a few games now, putting in strong performances without getting the reward. But on this day, he got his goal, and you could see what it meant to him. The relief, the joy, it poured out of him, and he deserved it. He's brought something different to this Celtic side since arriving, and between now and the end of the season, you'd fancy him to bag a few more. That'll be massive, not just for him, but for the club's decision-making in the summer. Let's not forget about James Forrest either. A veteran, sure, but one who still has the ability to come in and do a job when called upon. And he did that. Here! This was a proper team performance from start to finish. The kind of day where everyone looks like they're on the same wavelength, where the passing is crisp, the movement is sharp, and the hunger is visible in every challenge, every sprint, every touch of the ball. And speaking of sharpness, Reo Hatate, my word, 3 assists on the day. 3. That's not just a good shift, that's elite level playmaking. He was everywhere, drifting between the lines, splitting defenses with passes that very few players in this league are capable of seeing, let alone executing. He's one of those players that makes the game look easy, and you just have to shake your head at the idea that some Celtic fans wouldn't mind seeing him leave in the summer. Really, you want to shift a player who can dictate a semi-final, like that have a word with yourself. This is what happens when Celtic are dialed in, when the motivation is there, when there's a wrong to be righted. We don't just win, we dominate, we suffocate, we make teams fold. And that's exactly what happened to St. Johnstone. They couldn't live with us once the dam burst. It was wave after wave of attack, and you could see them wilting with every pass, every chance, every goal. Hampton has become our playground. Honestly, it feels like an extension of Celtic Park at this point. The fans, the noise, the energy. It's overwhelming for opposition teams. You could feel that buzz around the place from the first whistle. And when the goal started flying and the roof just about came off, it was one of those days where you're just glad to be part of it, whether you're in the stands or watching from home. Look, I know some folk will want the deep tactical breakdown, the heat maps, the passing networks, the expected goals. Save that for tomorrow. This wasn't about analysis. This was about emotion, about redemption, about Celtic sending a message to every doubter, every critic, and maybe even to themselves. That is what we're capable of. That is the standard. And now we've got to carry it through to the finish line. Because let's not kid ourselves. This isn't done yet. One game away from a treble sounds brilliant, but that one game is a cup final, and you don't win trebles in April. But if this is the form we're taking into that final, if this is the hunger, the intensity, the chemistry, then you got to back us to get the job done. It's been a strange season at times, no doubt. About it, there have been slip-ups, injuries, frustrations, but days like this, performances like this, they remind you why this club is different. Why Celtic is built for moments like these. The mentality, the legacy, the expectation. It all came together in one glorious afternoon at Hampden Park. And for all the talk of transitions, rebuilds, and looking to the future, sometimes it's just about living in the moment. And this moment, it belonged to Celtic. We'll talk more about what it means in the sober light of Monday morning. But for now, let it sink in. 5-0 in a Scottish Cup semi-final. One game from a treble. And Hampden once again painted green and white. It doesn't get much better than that. So now that the dust settled a wee bit from Sunday's demolition at Hampden, it's time to look ahead. Because as glorious as that, 50 was the real work still to come. One hand on the cup, sure, but the other, that's still fighting. For the league. And if there's one thing we know about this Celtic team under Brendan Rodgers, it's that they don't do silverware by halves. The focus now is all about the double, maybe even the treble, if everything breaks our way and the pressure is ever as sky high. You could feel it even as the final whistle blew. Players shaking hands, smiles on faces, but not one of them celebrating. Like it was a job done, it wasn't. That's what separates this group. There's a sense that nothing short of the full set will do. The manager's got them dialed in. You can see it in the way they talk post-match. No big statements. No getting carried away. Just that quiet belief, that look in their eyes that says we're not finished yet. And that's what makes the next few weeks so massive. Because let's not forget where we were just a couple of months ago. Slipping points, struggling for consistency, injuries. Piling up questions about Rodgers, whispers from the media, the usual suspects sharpening their knives. It felt like the title might just slip through our fingers, but now it feels like we've timed the run to perfection. Players coming back, form clicking into gear. That Hampden performance didn't just send a message to St. Johnstone. It echoed all the way across Glasgow, loud and clear. And speaking of across Glasgow, we all know what the final's shaping up to be. Nothing confirmed yet, but if Rangers do their job, we're heading for another Old Firm Cup final. And what a way that would be to finish the season. High stakes, bragging rights, legacy on the line. But you know what? You'd fancy us. You really would. Because when it comes to pressure moments, to lifting trophies, to standing tall under the lights of Hampden, this Celtic side knows how to deliver. They've done it before. Some of these lads have been there more times than you can count. And Brendan, well, he's made a habit of turning finals into celebrations. But before that, the league still needs to be seen off. No point dreaming about trebles if you don't get over the line in the Premiership. It's been a grind this season, no getting around that. Injuries in key areas, players in and out, new signings needing time to bed in. But now we've got Hattadi back pulling the strings, Maida scoring for fun, McGregor running games like it's a walk in the park. And that forward line, Ida, Kyogo, Forrest, Palmer, Kun, there's options, there's competition, and there's goals coming from everywhere. And that's going to matter in the running. We'll need every bit of firepower, every ounce of experience, every roar from the crowd at Celtic Park. Because make no mistake, the other side won't roll over. They're hanging on desperate to stop the double, but it's in our hands. We win. Our games, we lift the title. Simple as that. Rodgers has been smart in managing the squad too. You look at how he's eased players like Hattadi and Abada back into the fold. No rush, no panic, just patience and timing. And now we're seeing the results. Sharpness returning, confidence building, and when you've got lads like O'Reilly still putting in 7 or 8 out of 10 every week, it gives you the platform to let the others shine. Even defensively, things have tightened up. Carter Vickers looks back to his best. Scales continues to prove doubters wrong. Johnston on the right. Solid, aggressive, exactly what you want in these scrappy matches where one challenge can change. A game! And Hart, for all the talk of his future, remains a steadying presence between the sticks. He commands that box, he organizes, he's vocal. And you can't put a price on that kind of leadership when the pressure's on. But beyond the next few weeks, there's a bigger picture. The summer is going to be massive. We all know that. This squad still got gaps, still needs proper investment if we're serious about not just dominating Scotland, but making an impact. In Europe, the Champions League group stage showed us that. We weren't far off in some matches, but the margins are brutal at that level. One mistake, one moment of hesitation, it's punished. And that's where the board needs to step up. Rodgers has been clear about it. He didn't come back to finish second. He didn't return to merely maintain. He wants to build properly. That means quality signings. Players who can come in and raise the bar, not just development projects, but proven talent. And if we're being honest, with a few smart moves, this Celtic side could go up another level entirely. You think about what someone like Hatate could do in a fully firing midfield alongside a top-class number 6. You imagine Maeda and Palmer getting service from fullbacks bombing on. You dream of a center forward who can give you the goals in Europe the way Kyogo does in the league. It's not fantasy, it's within reach, but only if the ambition is matched by action. And then there's the matter of keeping hold of the lads we've got. O'Reilly, Hatate, maybe even Abada, there'll be interest, no doubt. The vultures are always circling when Celtic players shine. But if we want continuity, if we want to build something lasting, we can't afford another summer of 5 outs and 5 new projects trying to adjust on the fly. That cycle's run its course. It's time to back a manager who knows how to win and has the respect of the dressing room to take this club where it belongs, at the top of the table and competing with pride in Europe. But all of that comes later. Right now it's about staying locked in. It's about taking that Hampden performance and turning it into momentum. There's trophies to be lifted, banners to be unfurled, nights at paradise still to savor. And if this team plays the way they did on Sunday, if they keep that intensity, that hunger, that swagger, then good luck to anyone trying to stop them. This is what Celtic's built on, not just the wins, but the way we win. With purpose, with passion, with pride. We don't just play the game, we define it. And over the next month, with the pressure at its highest, with everything to play for, it's time to remind everyone once again who the real kings of Scottish football are. Because we're not just chasing trophies, we're chasing legacy. And if the noise at Hampden was anything to go by, the Celtic support are ready to roar this team all the way to glory. Let's finish it. Let's make it a season to remember. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Barry Ferguson, former Rangers captain and now the club's interim manager, has stirred the pot ahead of a crucial stretch in the Scottish Premiership by delivering a dig that has lit a fire under the Celtic support. With the old firm rivalry already simmering, Ferguson's latest remarks have poured petrol on the flames, igniting a wave of fury among Hoops fans across Glasgow. Speaking to the press after Rangers' recent win, Ferguson couldn't resist the opportunity to take a swipe at the Parkhead faithful. With a smirk, he declared, "We've got the mentality, the history, and the hunger. Some clubs talk about their atmosphere. Well, I've been there. It's just noise. Our fans don't just sing, they carry the team. There's a difference." While he didn't mention Celtic by name, there was no mistaking who the comments were aimed at. The reaction was instant. Celtic fans took to social media in droves, branding Ferguson's comments as disrespectful and desperate. Former players and pundits close to the green and white side of the divide were quick to respond too, with some calling it a cheap attempt to rally Rangers support ahead of the title run-in. But Ferguson, no stranger to the fiery nature of this rivalry, stood his ground, doubling down in a radio interview the next day. They can shout all they want, but when it matters, we turn up. That's what makes Rangers different. Inside Celtic Park, there's no doubt the comments have been noted. Brendan Rodgers, typically composed, brushed it off publicly, saying his team will do the talking on the pitch. But behind closed doors, Ferguson's words might just be pinned up on the dressing room wall. Fuel for a squad eager to prove a point. For now, the city waits. The next Old Firm clash looms large, and with tensions already bubbling, Barry Ferguson's jab has ensured it will be a powder keg. In Glasgow, words matter, and these ones won't be forgotten anytime soon. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and Subscribe to the channel as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.